Well, hello and welcome to the second of Roy's Art Roundup, and in this episode I'm focusing on the PMP Free Magazine, which is an art magazine dedicated to photographers and artists, same as the Paint My Photo website, and it's featuring people who are on Paint My Photo, including professional artists and artists of all abilities. And we've got some tutorials from artists in this episode, really good ones, in this magazine. And the first one here is from David Stribling, who's got a complete water lily painting tutorial. David's paints in oils. His work is it's loose but also curiously detailed. You'll see what I mean as we look at his work in a moment. I actually admire this artist very much because he's what I would think of as a jobbing artist. He gets on with it. He's actually making his living from making and selling art, which is great. And he does wildlife art. In fact, I'll just quickly show you his website, and something that may surprise you. It's the wildlife art of David Stribling, and you'll see from there it's davidstribling.com. and as well as you can then go and look at his paintings. So here, this page is his archive of past paintings, and I noticed that David's got them going back to 2007, and if you own a painting by him from before that, he's asked if you could email him a photo so you can add it to the archive, and it's quite a splendid archive there of work. Let's just pick something almost at random. I particularly like his tiger paintings, so let's just click on one of those and go in a bit closer. There we are. Look at the detail there, as I say, but then when you look really close up you see the loose brush work, which is I think a sign of great oil painting. So, and on the home page of David's site, you can see there's also Sarah and Rachel, two of his daughters, who are actually artists as well. And there is a Stribling family page on Facebook, which is worth a look. Okay. And I was about to start showing you about the tutorial that he's got, but I've just remembered something else I wanted to show you on David's website. And this might surprise some people who say to me, you can't make a living on eBay selling art. David sells a lot of his work on eBay, so it just shows you that if quality outs, as they say. So you'll always see lots of work on there. So it's worth a look and worth a bid, because you get really quality artwork at prices that you couldn't possibly get outside of a gallery, let me assure you of that. Really high quality stuff. So if you want to know how it's done, he's literally shown us his techniques in detail, which is great and extremely generous. How many artists do you know for no direct money for them at all? He's done this completely free for us, which is great. I know that David has built some good relationships with photographers on Paint My Photo, and obviously I'm sure if this was an interview, which perhaps there is an interview in one of the previous magazines, if you want to see that with David, he would acknowledge that the photographer's generosity is what helps him in his business. But look, he covers the materials that he uses. Also, there's links to the websites where he gets his art materials, so literally you can pick the master's brains and also use the same materials as he uses. You'll see he starts off with the underpainting. I won't go in detail here talking about it or highlighting it, because that's the point of you getting the magazine. And literally, as you can see, all the steps are there right the way through to seeing the finished painting, which I know he says he's photographed outside where improved lighting, I would guess. And as a bonus, he's done a second tutorial for us, because obviously David is best known as a wildlife artist, and he's taken one of the photos by a chap called Paul Sherman on Paint My Photo, of a photo of a squirrel, and you've got a complete demonstration of how to do wildlife art in the same way as David does. Well, you can try. It takes a lot of practice, but all the information's there for you. So anyone that's thinking I can't do that, I think you can. I think if you work hard at things, you can actually get up to the standard of someone like David. Why not? And just a final thing that I note from David's comment there at the bottom, underneath the finished painting, it's an a la primer, as they call it, painting that was completed in around 3 hours. and that's what keeps the freshness and the fresh look to the painting. I think you'll agree. And our next tutorial in the magazine, I'm focusing on the art tutorials for this video, is created by a lady from the United States called Karen Sellers. And Karen's speciality really is texture, it seems to be. Looking at her art, it really is very much about texture, and about, she talks a lot, and I totally understand this, about being fearless and diving into the painting, not worrying too much about. People get hung up when they're painting. They think they've got to produce a masterpiece every time, and you don't. You just got to keep working. And you, with the acrylics, that you can keep painting over and over and create fantastic textures in various ways. It's not that random with Karen. She makes it seem easy, but in actual fact she's doing some extraordinarily clever things with the textures here, as you'll see from this tutorial. But as she says on here, it's only paper. And if you mess it up, maybe you can use it in something else like bookmarks, cards and weavings. So certainly for people who do crafts and such like, yes, you know, it's a good idea actually. Why not use some of our discarded art, like discarded watercolors, to create other things with? That's a great idea. She's used a photo here of some pumpkins off Paint My Photo, and I noticed, I was reading through this earlier, oh, I think I missed one of the steps. She uses gesso and a gesso and glaze medium mix to make some extraordinary textures that, like you see on this pumpkin here. Lots of layers. And on Karen's gallery on Paint My Photo, she's got some examples of work, and I particularly like this one, Pears in a Bowl. It's that's something I can imagine quite easily hanging in someone's home as a lovely decorative piece of art. Thanks, Karen, for sharing your techniques with us. And this next artist in the magazine, Michelle from Paint My Photo, I haven't got a surname on there, but you can find Michelle from the magazine on Paint My Photo. Something that I looked at and I thought, yes, you know, that's something I might, you know, I want to try myself. Because I'm working in watercolor mostly, I'm always working from the white paper. What Michelle is highlighting here, and one of her techniques certainly, is painting with acrylics on a black primed canvas, which you immediately think, does that dull down the colours? Well, no, you're using opaque acrylics, and she talks in some detail about that. And I won't cover that here. You just need to go to the magazine and take a look yourself. But you can see the steps. You've got all the steps in there for you, and it's quite a remarkable process that she uses, and produces some really stunning and dramatic effects. Composition plays an important part in Michelle's work, I note, and I'll show you one that I'm particularly fond of in a moment. Just going to that, well, that's not the one I was looking for, but this is on Michelle's page on Paint My Photo. Ah, that's the one, another one. This particular waxwing in acrylics of hers, I think, is particularly stunning. They're all good, but you know, sometimes you have a favourite, and that one I particularly like. I like the way it's got that almost oriental look with the flowers. Absolutely superb. So anyway, you can catch up with these artists on Paint My Photo. That's the great thing. And finally, in the magazine, we've got someone who I've known on Paint My Photo for quite a long time. Quite a character, and quite a stunning artist as well. And kisser of fish, obviously, by this picture. That's Sean from Canada. Sean's watercolors are simply stunning. I'm a bit of a fan of his work. He's shown everyone here how he does it, so that is really quite inspiring. His inspiration for this painting is that photograph there of just spoons in a sink, by a gentleman from Russia, Vyacheslav. Sorry, Vyacheslav, if I've pronounced that incorrectly. And I have to say, I find that fascinating that a photographer in Russia is sharing his work via PMP with an artist in Canada who's creating their artwork from it. That I think is pretty cool. One of the things I particularly like about Sean's work, and I try to get in my own work, not quite as successfully as him, although I don't do as detailed painting as he does, I don't think. Well, I definitely don't. It's the play of light and dark. The old artists, I think, used to call that, or I think the Italian term is chiaroscuro or something like that, I don't know. But it's the play of light and dark and the way that he controls those washes, as you can see here at the very beginning of the painting. You've got the transitions from light to dark, quite extreme, yet they work extremely well. It's not as easy as I think sometimes Sean makes it look. It's actually quite difficult. Takes practice is basically what I mean. And on this page where he's working on the spoons, you can see what I mean by those that effect of the light and dark, the counter change between light and dark areas. It makes for a really fascinating image, and I think that's probably one of the reasons that this particular photograph appealed to him. So let's just go over the page, and there's the completed painting. You can see there. You can also see a higher resolution view of it if you actually go to the website, go on to Paint My Photo. And to finish off, there's just a couple of examples of Sean's art and his whimsical view of things. There's one with the goats there, it's quite fascinating. Whoops. And you'll see lots of others of his work on the Paint My Photo. Well, that's about it for talking about the artists in the summer newsletter for Paint My Photo. But let's not forget our photographers. There's actually quite a few articles about our photographers as well, and I'll probably talk about the photographers more in a different episode of Roy's Roundup. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll join up on Paint My Photo and we'll communicate there. Thanks for watching.